Gender roles often determine how men and women are taught to think, dress, speak, and act. Our book defines gender roles as feminine and masculine social expectations based on a person's sex or the social expectations for how males and females should behave. Gender roles are deeply embedded into our social upbringing and culture. What member of the family does what chore often depends on their gender. Um, Men cut the grass, take out the trash, or work on the cars, or tinker and fix different things. Women more do the dishes, take care of the laundry, and take care of the kids. That's always the way it was in my house growing up, and I know that's how my grandparents' house was, and I'm sure that's how their parents' house was. Um, in my house, we do it a little different. I actually enjoy cutting the grass and doing more of the yard work. And I tinker and kind of fix things more than my husband does. Um, that's not to say that he can't. I just enjoy it more and he doesn't. So we kind of switch things around, and so not every household chore falls on one person, and it's not all based on gender either. So it kind of depends. I know now more days it's starting to, people are trying to change it up on who does what. Um, Gender roles are often learned from society and what your parents teach you. I catch myself sometimes telling my girls, like, that's a boy's toy, or little girls don't do that. And I don't want them to think that it has to be that way, so I kind of try to let them play with whatever toys that they want, or, not say little girls don't do that. So they can try to be more of the person they want to be and not who they're expected to be. I see more and more things on social media that are debating the idea of gender roles and why we have them. I have friends that paint their little boy's toes because he sees mom doing it and wants to try it. So they let him. And I also see where little girls pick a toy truck instead of a new Barbie to play with. I think it's nice to try and break that mold so again kids can feel like they're free to choose who they want to be. Men and women communicate differently because of these gender roles, and men are more seen as competitive natured when they have traits like strong willed and confident and aggressive and independent. People make comments about how manly they are. When women have these masculine features, they're referred to as not ladylike or unfeminine. And when women have typical feminine qualities, like they're passive, they're graceful, quiet, or sensitive, if men take on those qualities, then they're seen as like a sissy or not manly at all. Gender roles are very clear in my opinion, kind of extreme in the reality TV show Duck Dynasty. Duck Dynasty is a show about a very traditional Southern Christian family. The men are portrayed as the provider, the hunter, the fix-it-all, real manly men. And then the women in the show, the wives and everything, they're seen as kind of the cooks, the organizers, the event planners, the cleaners, and the ones who take care of the children. The dad, the patriarch of the family, his name is Phil. He's a very macho man who has no time for household duties, but rather he hunts and fishes or shares his life lessons with his grandkids. He's always got lessons that he's trying to teach them for their life. His wife, Kay, She's responsible for the household work. She cooks and cleans and helps take care of the grandkids. You can often see her teaching the granddaughters, how to cook and properly clean and how to take care of one another, while Phil and his sons are teaching the grandsons and their children, they're teaching them how to hunt and fix things and be manly. Um, and they also teach them their business as the Duck Commander, which is the business that they founded. Their sons, Willie, Jace, and Jeb, they're always in a competition with each other. Men are kind of seen as more competitive, and they always have to outdo each other. And in this show, it really portrays that between the three brothers. There's an episode where all the men go on their annual camping trip, and Willie decides to bring his RV, and the other men call him womanly or a sissy for not being able to rough it a night in the woods. So it's kind of pretty extreme when it comes to male gender roles. And the women, you can always see them, they're well dressed, taken care of. They're always seen cooking or shopping or cleaning or caring for the kids. And one episode that really stood out to me was when Willie and Jace took their wives hunting. This episode seemed to center around the typical idea that females are not outdoorsy like men are. The wives, they wear perfume when they go hunting with their husbands, and their hair and nails are done, and they're kind of chatty with each other. And all the while, the men are trying to hunt, and their wives are scaring away their prey. The men get really annoyed and end up taking them home. The most recent episode I watched was called Driving Miss Sadie. In this episode, Willie was trying to teach his daughter to drive, and again it became kind of a stereotype where women can't drive. So all the men tried to get into a competition of who the best one to teach Sadie to drive would be. They kind of reiterate the idea of how bad Sadie is at driving, and again, it just turns into a big competition of who's going to be the best to teach her to drive, and they all failed. In the same episode, Phil is teaching his grandson Luke about relationships and who to date. He told Luke that if she knows how to cook and she loves to eat bullfrogs, now there's a woman. Again, Phil is just kind of reiterating the social views of how men and women should act. The gender roles in Duck Dynasty, like I said, to me they're kind of extreme, but they're more tolerable than what you could see portrayed in other reality shows like Jersey Shore or The Real World. In those shows, the men are really physical, macho men who are confrontational and kind of self-absorbed, while the women are loud and really over-sexualized and materialistic. And in a way, it's a little more refreshing to turn those shows off and watch a family that's a little more like your own, regardless of the gender roles that are shown.